Hello and welcome to Paydirt TV. I'm Dominic Piper. Today I'm joined by Craig Mackay, Managing Director of Golden Rim Resources. Craig, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Dominic. Good to see you.
Craig, you entered the pandemic really with uncertain future about what work you were going to be able to do there in West Africa, in Burkina Faso, on your Curry project. But really, it's been quite a successful year for the company, hasn't it?
Yes, Dominic, it has been. It's probably been one of the busiest years that we've had. We sort of started off, we appointed a new chairman early in the year, a gentleman called Adonis Peruis, who's based in London. He's originally a mining engineer, Adonis, but he's a real mining entrepreneur, focused on Africa for his entire career. He's built up quite a number of companies over the journey, whether they be gold or diamonds or rare earths or oil and gas. And on the gold side, he's been recently successful, and he built a company called Toro Gold that discovered and developed a gold project in Senegal called Mako, and sold out to Resolute late last year for $300 million. And he certainly sees Golden Rim as his next vehicle to push along. We also made a discovery in our Corey project, a high-grade shoot called Diabatu, just before COVID, where we're seeing 10-gram material, which is open at depth. We obviously slowed down for a couple of months there with the pandemic, but we were fortunate in that Burkina wasn't infected like other places, so really a couple of months and we were back going. And also, I suppose because we have an in-country team, we're not relying on expats to do our work. And then since then, there's really been two big things. So certainly our Carter transaction, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little later. I'm very excited about that new project in Guinea. And then, of course, reaching 2 million ounces at Corey in Burkina Faso has been a real milestone for us.
Like you say, it was a slow going to begin with, a couple of months off the ground, but you've really hit the ground running since then in Burkina Faso. A lot of drilling, and then you've been able to put together a resource towards the end of the year that really encapsulates this year's work and I assume last year's work as well. Are you happy with how the new resources stacked up?
Yeah, no, we are, Dominic, really pleased. These resources are not easy to put together. There's a lot of hard work that goes into those. So our most recent resource estimate in October is really 2 years in the making. So another couple of hundred drill holes. But look, yeah, sizable increase. So we increased the resource by 43% to 2 million ounces. The indicated portion of the resource we increased by 41% to 300,000 ounces. I suppose we've got to the point now where we think we've actually got enough gold to go to the next step. So really now we're looking at a scoping study and pushing that project forward. Whilst also looking at a little bit of the exploration upside. As I mentioned, we found a high-grade shoot, which is 7 kilometres from the bulk of the mineral resource. So we certainly want to see how extensive that is as well.
Obviously, we've seen with a company like West African Resources that a high-grade shoot in a project can make all the difference when you've got a big global resource as well. Is that where the focus will come in the next couple of months then?
It'll be sort of a bit of a dual strategy, really, Dominic. So if we look at what we're going to do at Corey, we're certainly going to do some more drilling. The bulk of that drilling will be focused on infill drilling in the current resource. So given we're going to proceed now with the scoping study, we want to increase the amount of indicated resource for that. So we need to convert inferred ounces to indicated ounces. So there will be that inferred drilling. We will actually focus on some of the thicker and higher grade portions that are in the current pit areas. And I think there's some real upside with that. And then with this high grade shoot, as you mentioned, that was the game changer for West African Resources, was their M1 South discovery. So this high grade shoot Diabatu that we've drilled it to about 140 metres below surface. And we've got about 48,000 ounces in resource on that shoot at present. But the bottom of our current pit shell at Diabatu is in 10-gram material. So moving forward, we're planning holes beneath that to see just what sort of depth extent we've got. And obviously, if we can build up those high-grade ounces, it would be a game changer for us as well.
As well as Corey in Burkina Faso, Craig, you've also, earlier this year in July, you secured an option on a former Newmont asset, Carter, in Guinea. You've done a little bit of work, due diligence work and so forth since then. How is it looking, Carter? Is it living up to expectations?
Yeah, look, I would say it's exceeding expectations, Dominic. We were very, very pleased with the due diligence work we've done on Carter. And this is a project that Newmont had and they spent a lot of money on, drilled 300 holes. They built up a resource, quite a sizable resource, which we can't report because it's not a JORC compliant resource. And it's in a great part of the world. It's 30 k's south of the Siguri mine, which is an Anglo-Gold Ashanti operation, over 10 million ounces. It's similar sort of material. And so it's an advanced project. So it's something with all these drill holes, we can get in there. We have to do some infill drilling ourselves, but we see the potential of putting out a near-term resource on Carter. And then it's got this extraordinary upside. So the project area is about 200 square k's. And if you look at where Newmont have done drilling, it only covers 2% of the project area.
Craig, what is the plan now at Carter? You've got the non-JORC resource that you mentioned from Newmont's days, but then you've also got this vast exploration potential. Will it be a dual-pronged approach?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to describe it, Dominic. So if you look at the sort of Newmont resource area, it's just this great oxide mineralisation there. We drilled 3 due diligence holes. Our deepest holes were 150 metres deep and we were still in oxide. So this deep oxide, it's incredibly soft. We hired a core saw where we didn't need it. We just used a knife to cut our drill core. So it's got this great potential for, free digging, cheap mining. So certainly we want to get in there and do our infill drilling and convert that sort of resource area to a JORC resource as soon as we can. If you look at some of the Newmont results, they've done soil sampling. They've got 22-gram gold results in soil, and there's been no follow-up drilling. There's incredible potential to expand on that initial oxide resource as we move forward.
Craig, you mentioned Guinea's got a couple of big gold deposits and operations there, but it's really not seen the same level of exploration attention that some of its neighbours in West Africa have received. What's it like from an operating perspective and indeed from a prospectivity perspective in Guinea?
Yeah, look, it's incredibly prospective, Dominic. It's no different in terms of prospectivity to Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Mali. It just hasn't seen the work. So if you look at the current gold production in West Africa, well, Guinea accounts for 6% of the gold production, and yet the really prospective greenstone belts that run right through that area are the same rocks. And if you look at the proportion of greenstone belts, well, then certainly they should be producing a lot more gold than what they're doing now. And it's really just a factor that it's unexplored. And we certainly see what exploration can do. We've seen with predictive discovery recently, finding some nice mineralisation in Guinea. And if you look at the areas and we look at like the Newmont area, a lot of these regions have had no work at all or very little work. So certainly, going forward, we see that as the key. It's just systematic exploration like we've done elsewhere. In the past, certainly there has been difficulties in Guinea. But certainly in the last few years, we've seen the government making a real effort to try and encourage foreign companies to come in and work. And it is getting, it has started to see some success. We're seeing a cadastre now, which is online. It's all open. We applied for a new licence as part of our Carter joint venture. We actually got that licence granted in 1 month, which is the quickest that I've had in my career. And I suppose the other thing with Guinea that gives us comfort is our chairman runs a private bauxite company called Elafure that has a major operation in Guinea, 1,500 employees, has been running for 15 years successfully. So that gives us a lot of comfort, I suppose, as a company to move forward in that area.
Craig, thank you very much for your time today. It sounds like Golden Rim, after a surprisingly good 2020, is set up for an even better 2021. Best of luck, and hopefully we can hear a little bit more about progress in the new year.